of luck for everyone. Check. Hi, everyone. Just to confirm, am I visible and also audible?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So we're going to do a quick roll call for the amazing four grand final teams. Udayana, opening government, are you here? Next, Negeri Surabaya, opening opposition, are you here?
Complete.
Okay, thank you. Surabaya, closing government, are you here?
Closing government here.
All right. Next, Jember, closing opposition, are you here?
Jember is here. Thank you.
Okay, for judges, let's call the first one. Cantik, are you here?
Here.
Okay, thank you, Cantik. Next, Feli, are you here?
Here.
Yeah, thank you, Feli. Next, Gio. I think Gio is with Cantik, right?
He's here.
Okay. Okay, thank you, thank you, Gio. Sorry. Next, Grace, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, Jessica.
I'm here.
Queen Jihan.
Astagfirullahaladzim, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. So hi guys, welcome to the grand final round of NUDC Wilayah 4. Yay for the 4 teams. Congratulations for making it this far, everyone. So yeah, once again, yeah, best of luck for all the 4 teams, regardless the result. Yeah, please before you start the debate, don't forget to check your sound. Second of all, time yourself. I will help in timing, but no promises. I might forget that in the middle of the debate. And third of all is, of course, state your POI preference. Do you want it through the chat box or from unmute? If you forget to state that, we're going to assume the POI goes by default through the chat box. Okay, so we're going to debate under the motion. This House believes the growth economy. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. Yeah, my name is Chia. I'm the chair judge for this round from Sanata Dharma. Judging with me were, yeah, the beautiful Cantik from Telkom, fabulous Feli from Unpar, handsome Giovanni from Unpad, graceful Grace from Sadar, Sumatra's finest Jessica from USU, and last but not least, Queen Jihan from ITB. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon the Prime Minister to start the debate. Here.
Right, am I audible?
Can you try again?
How about now? Is it?
Oh yeah. Is it possible for you to turn on your camera because we are on live?
It would make my speech lagging, but
oh, okay. All right. It's okay. Yeah.
All right then. POI through chat. Please don't interrupt. You pronounce your name. Starting by my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where humans are shackled by construct by capital, which is unjustly acquired. We're talking about how then the corporate and elite groups construct and leading this reality in the status quo into a more profit-oriented system where everything is generated and serving around the money and the profit-oriented culture, right? Where their main narrative that they send and also construct to the society that they push in the society is that you need money to be happy, you need money to survive, and so on and so forth. Capital and profit are the two main things that has to be heavily pursued in the status quo, in the stuff in which we think it is very problematic for every actors in which we argue later on. What does that imply? First, a corruption to a human happiness. Pursuing capital, gaining money is the reasons then why people work from 9 to 5 for the minimum, for working non-stop, just for the sake of survival and also gaining some money to actually fulfilling their basic necessities. And in some cases, it just not enough, right? It leads into a people be abandoning their mental capacity, abandoning any other such social capacity or social needs in itself, and also the well-beingness of themselves in order to get some money, because without this money they wouldn't be survived at the end of the day in this current world. But secondly, what does it imply? It implies the jeopardy toward the environment, where people are highly attracted to capital. People in this term is the corporate itself gonna tolerate everything to gain capital and profit in itself, in which we think become a sources and also the reasons why then the pollution exists due to the massive industrializations, where people just prioritizing how to produce some money at the maximum level without actually thinking about how then we can make it a more sustainable, how make it like a more green way to actually produce something in order to make the world become sustainable. Like that's the thing that happened currently in the status quo itself. But before jumping into the argument, several set up before actually jumping into the argument. Firstly, how then it looks like when the state should pursue the growth stability, right? Firstly, it can be take a form when the states pursue a policy where they're limiting a mass cooperation, also the industry factories that contribute a drawback at the environment, for instance, like a coal factories and also a tobacco product, that is to say, create such a drawback to a human's condition and also the environment as well, right? We're going to set a limitations on an emissions that are produced by certain companies. We're not going just like imposing a tax suddenly, but we're also giving them like a step-by-step improvement. We're giving them the room for improvement, because we know in certain cases, especially in the developing country itself, not every companies have the ability and also are prepared enough to actually do such a transition to a more green and also sustainable method way of gaining some money, right? We think that we're going to set such a limitations on the emissions that is tolerable for its companies, and whenever these companies are surpassing this kind of limitations, they have to pay the taxes in the terms of punishments that we're going to set, right? But secondly, how then it looks like for the people from the weaker area itself, right? We think that we will create a socialization and education how to produce their own food, how to pursue like a localization of food and production. So it can also cater people in the rural area and also in the remote area, because we're not just talking about the corporate in a whole, but also we have to also talk about the people in the rural area in itself, where they also live in the rural areas or something like that. And then secondly, why then the states have, because the states have this kind of obligations to the people itself, whether injustice and also social inequality that acts in the status quo, in which we think we will argue later on, I will argue later on how then it could be solved by this kind of the growth stability itself. But secondly, the main goal from the main goal from the opening government as the market contribution is debate is to first is to maintain the sustainability and also to pursue the happiness of the people, in which we argue how then this will be achieved under the house. So two things that I'm going to talk in this debate. Firstly, how then the sustainability matters and how then the economic way of the growing the stability is important in this case. But secondly, how then this would not create a such how then this would not imply to a bad aftermath toward the economics and also environment. First thing first, about how then the sustainability matter in this debate. Firstly, when we're talking about the sustainability, we're talking about the resources that is limited in the earth in itself, right? We think about how we talk about the industrializations that become too massive, where the work cultures become too fast paced, where people just cannot just like adopt and also survive that. When we're talking about the sustainability itself, we think that when people are just like highlighting or also prioritizing this kind of like the possible to actually getting some money, for instance, from the oil factories, also any other factors that put in danger the environment itself. We think when we pursue this kind of growth stability through our mechanism in itself, we think that we can like pushing this kind of factories, this kind of companies, that is to say, itself to be a more sustainable, to be more green in itself, in which or I'm also injecting some fund for them to actually like develop or also do such a transition to a more sustainable way, right? We think the sustainability matters because when we think about the world itself, currently there's a like overpopulation itself. We think that we be, due to the limited resources itself, we think that there should be a more effective and a more efficient way to actually using and also allocate this kind of resources in order to make we can like provide this kind of resources to everyone, right? But secondly, when we're talking about how then this would not create a bad aftermath to the economy itself, the main concern coming from the opening oppositions might be how then this will kill this will kill the economic activity and how then this will kill people that doesn't have enough capital to begin with, that. So to answering those questions, we think we could recall on the theories of supply and demand itself, right? When the demand is low, means that the price is low. When the demand for something is low, where the people is just like focusing on producing some food and planning some food, means that the supply, also the price of other things, going to be lower at the end of the day. Means that we're not missing that the basic need that sold in the store itself will going to be there, and the basic necessities could also still be accessed under a total of the house. Means that the basic necessities is not something that should be become a main concern from the opening opposition, where they made saying that, oh, this kind of thing, this will make certain people, especially people from the lower class, couldn't afford anymore, because meaning that when they're like limiting the working hour itself means that they're earning lesser profit. We think earning lesser profit is okay, because at the end of the day you're going to spend, and also you will have a lesser revenue at the end of the day, because you're going to like having your own food, you're going to prioritize your like a localization of product, in which we think we're not going to kill the economic capabilities of these people. But how what does you get from our of house is the first, the human well-being, because you're going to pursue your happiness itself. But secondly, how then you get a more sustainable way to actually gain some capital. So vote for the opening government. Thank you.
All right, I thank the Prime Minister for that fine speech. Next, I call upon the Leader of Opposition. Here. Yeah, Leader of Op, are you there? Check.
Hi, I'm here. So sorry for the lag. But I'm going to need a few minutes just to make sure everything's all right and proper. Thank you.
Yeah, while you're at it, is it possible for you to turn on the camera?
Yeah, I'm going to turn on my camera as soon as
Okay,
I'm
thank you so
start my
much.
speech. Thank you. Hi. Sorry for the bad quality of the camera. Am I visible?
Yep, you're okay.
Okay. Thank you. UI preference is just by wave your hand on the Zoom app and or through the chat box. No need to unmute yourself because it's going to be disruptive for my speech. Mention me just by he or him, or just mention me by my position, which is opening opposition, and that will be enough. But nonetheless, I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel's opening opposition believes that it is very unnecessary for states to do degrowth economy until significantly reducing the prosperity and welfare of the United States. We believe we can do other alternatives if we want to empower the social and environmental issue. Degrowing economy is not worth it for any kind of level, because why? First thing first, during the process, it will make people suffer. Some community will do massive protests and portray that the government is wrong and the bad actors of the story, right? And second thing, and there will be facing more problems. Why? First thing first, there is no 100% guarantee after the growth economy the states will be able to being stable and recovery, and this is why our government states will also facing many obstacles, such as first thing first, investors are already in the runway and leaving the country because how destabilized the economy is. And second thing, externalities of global competition, such as, for example, like trade war that impact your economy, and the invasion of Russia in Ukraine that actually impact your economy. And another thing is like pandemic of COVID-19, right? All of this will make new problem that OO believes states will be harder to handle and make more vulnerable people suffer more. Right now, a couple of frameworks in the side of opening opposition. First thing first, in our world, we will keep focusing on economic growth, and in the same time, we're also concerned with the socio and environmental issue. Right? Why? First thing first, we will keep doing the how. First thing first, we will keep doing the control on AMDAL and green technology for the companies, and B, doing massive reforestation and campaign the environmentally friendly project, and C, providing social assistance to the poor and giving subsidy for them, and D, encouraging company to do CSR to provide social project to the local people, and E, enforcing law enforcement for the environment, right? And second, we believe that the successful socio-environmental program is needing the financial capital to run the program. So the states indeed still need the economic growth to ensure the capital for the environmental project and providing subsidy to the poor. And third thing, strengthening the awareness for all people to care for environment and social welfare by collaborating with many NGO. Now, a couple of responses towards why take the debate. First thing first, the whole premise of the debate is basically capitalism is bad. It makes people suffer. It makes the environment suffering and etc. Therefore, we need the degrowth and etc. But we do have to realize that not all capitalism is bad. We do have to realize that there is a certain side of capitalists that actually prioritize the people and the money at the same time, right? But assuming, let's take the bullet here, where it is absolutely evil, it doesn't mean you can degrowth it, right? Why? The moment you're doing the degrowth is the moment you will make people more suffering, right? Why? You won't be able to give, for example, like social support or funding to the poor people who already suffered enough. And second thing, high percent of people who lost jobs and etc. Right? Therefore, the output of opening government will never see the light of the day at the end of the day. Now, first argumentation, why the growth economy is a bad concept to be implemented. First thing first, let's characterize the need of states in many all layers, like for example, underdeveloping countries, developing countries, and developed states. All of them need to have sustainable economic growth to ensure the life of their citizens, right? Now, under 2 points. First thing first, focusing on economic growth will make society able to survive in life. Why? All of these society's aspects are basically entangled with their life, right? All of them entangled with the economy. Second, society will not be dependent for government help and social assistance only, but they can be able to fulfill their need from the job they are doing. The moment your economy is actually stable is the moment you can actually provide for your family, for a society, and etc. We think economic growth is the way to ensure the sustainable life of the citizen. Still, we believe that be able to continuously provide the help because how destabilized the economy is. So therefore, they cannot actually provide social support and etc. And second, during the growth economy, government will also lose many financial sources since no productivity during that time period. So the government will get less tax. Many other factors, right? And let's move on to my second analysis. The process of degrowth economy will not be smooth, and government will get many trust. First thing first, one. During the growth economy, the government will stop massive production, right? Many multinational companies and investors will be pulling back their investment from the states. They feel the state is too evil and unfair to investors by degrowthing the economy. And second, many people will protest. Who get the harm? Who get the harm? When people become jobless due to the cancellation of productivity, is the moment people will actually fight for their life, will fight the government because they will picturize the government is the bad one. They will not have the incentive to actually understand the reasoning why the government actually want to degrow the economy. They will eventually protest the government and picturize they are the bad actors, right? And third thing, small medium enterprises will also do massive protest to the states because their whole life is basically dependent on their enterprise, their company, and basically they have the incentive to actually do the protest and fight the government themselves, right? The rioting will basically happen. And why is it happening? Because the amount of government help during the growth economy is not comparable with their revenue and daily needs, and people do not want living under worse economy than harm their comfortability, right? And third analysis, the growth economy will harm vulnerable small. Will be hard to recover from the growth economy period until many investors run away and lose the trust of the state. It will make the situation worse, especially for the SMEs. Their business will be destroyed. Their creativity and innovation will be destroyed as well. It is so sad to see this unfair situation opposition is the state should keep focus on economic growth and also handle the environmental and social problem without creating massive damage. And that's why we proud. That is the reason why opening opposition does more contribution rather than the opening government, and that's why we're proud to oppose. Thank you.
Okay, I think, oh, sorry. Yeah, I think the leader of opposition for that speech. Next, I call upon DPM.
Am I audible?
Yep, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Give me a few seconds. I'm setting up my stopwatch. Gender pronouns he, him, POI through chat. Okay. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the capitalistic system that has been set up by the world's elite have been hurting the average people long enough. Here at Opening Government, we are here to stop that. So, reviewing of what opening opposition has brought into today's debate, we believe that their main premise still under operates in their own mindset that having a small income, not having economic growth is a bad thing. Now, here, that is the main thing of what opening government wants to debate on. We believe that even if you have small income, you live moderately, and you do things do not work as they are right now in the status quo, that is completely fine, and that is what we want to advocate for. So, moving on, let's take a review of what leader of opposition brought into today's debate. So, their ideas are still basing on their own perspective of what is poor. Now, we believe that the definition of someone being poor and having low economy is a definition that is set up by the world's elite. Now, we believe that in our side of the house, no, people will not be poor, as what the leader of opposition keep advocating for. Why? Because we will have different standards of poor. Those people that their lives, of course, will be radically changed, and we believe this is for the better. They will no longer be poor in the standards that both opposition benches will argue to you. We believe that in our side of the house, they will no longer be considered as poor as they used to be. Now, main point that was brought by leader of opposition talking about in our side of the house, how can government support the people? Because in their side of the house, they're going to give subsidies to the poor and support to the poor. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that this is based on the idea that in our side of the house, we believe that these people, they shouldn't need to be subsidized in the first place. We view them, the fact that they are poor is because of the system that shackles them in that situation. And that's why we want to change that. We believe that in our side of the house, people shouldn't even need to be massively subsidized in the first place. They should be able to live freely by themselves, free outside of the shackles in which the capitalistic system has set them up. Now, second point coming from opening opposition, talking about people will lose jobs and etc. So we want to give you this framing that it's in our world, it's fine if you have less income, because in our world you can survive with less money. That is the main issue that we want to advocate for, and that is what we want the degrowth of economy to achieve. People being able to survive with less money, and people being alive to the fullest by having less money, when not having the constant rate. And they took a jab talking about it will still harm businesses and etc. In our side of the house, we believe that businesses will still exist. Green, sustainable businesses will actually be prospering. Why? Because as my first speaker has said to you, because we're going to give several limitations on existing business, most people whose businesses fall into that limitation, they will opt into a more green and sustainable method of operation so that they can operate safely in our world. So we believe that in our side of the house, jobs, of course, will still exist. Now, would want into this debate. So we believe that we want to change how the world works. Degrowth economy is the way to do that, and it's exclusively only happening through degrowth economy. That is why we're supporting that. We believe that the world elite, the top 1%, have shaped the system of the world into that you need money in order to survive. We want to change that, especially since when you have inflation that keeps on rising every single day, the prices of everything keeps rising. Even if you work hard and you get a promotion, etc., the amount of money you have, even if it's increased, you will still have the same value because of the ever increasing inflation. So it's your hard work won't really matter, because at the end of the day, you're constantly chasing after more money, and the system can just have more inflation, so that your goal, you will never reach the finish line. You're going to die chasing after the finish line. That is what we want to put a stop on, because we believe inflation keeps pushing down on people, making it hard to enjoy their life, because inflation creates people they need to keep after more money in order to survive. So we believe that we want to change the way humans live their life. In the status quo, we believe that life is so fast-paced and empty. You live, you are required by society to get a really good education all the way up to master's or a PhD. You then work from 9 to 5, you make a family, and then you die. We believe that many people get stuck when it comes to getting to the finish line of earning more money, because that is what the system tells these people that's what they need to do. Because in this world, everything needs money. If opposition wants to argue that, well, love and family, it is free, we believe that it is not. Why? Love, we believe that in these days, humans are very consumeristic. Not having money is really looked down upon. These days, if you don't have money, there's a potential you can't even find a boyfriend or a girlfriend anymore if you don't have the capital to do so. And even if they accept you as you are, you would still need money to support them, support your kids, send them to schools, buy baby supplies, and everything, etc. The whole damn thing actually still needs money, right? We believe that by having a degrowth economy, people will live a more enjoyable and meaningful lives, because they're not just they're actually living and not just surviving, because they do not have this mindset of they need to chase after money and buy all these things in order for their life to be fulfilled. We want to change this philosophy, because because in our side of the house, when you have a degrowth economy, and like my first speaker said, we're going to socialize for people to be less consumeristic, and for people to grow their own food, grow their own food locally and farm locally. They wouldn't need as much money to survive as they would in opposition's world. And in opposition's world, they need to argue how do those people who are struggling after their lives can actually be improved in the capitalistic system, in which a basic increase of the price through inflation can keep pushing those people down. We believe that when people can we believe in our house, people can survive with less money. They can focus on living. If opposition argue that companies and jobs lift up people out of poverty, we believe that they're poor because of the standards that the world elite has set in the first place. These standards needs to be unshackled. We believe that opposition's main case is regarding how big economy helps people. We believe that degrowth economy helps people on a long-term, more sustainable way, especially when it relates to the environment. When there's less pollution, there's less waste, it's going to contribute our kids, for our grandkids, and further on in the future. Because we're taking such a bold stand on this case, vote for opening government. Thank you.
All right, I thank the Deputy Prime Minister for that speech. Next, I call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition to close the opening layer.
Check. Hi, am I audible?
Yep, you're audible and visible.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys. Yeah. So yeah, if you have any PR, you can just unmute yourself. I have no specific pronouns. Just call me by my name or my speaker positions. I think that's it. Setting up my personal timer. Oh yeah, I will prioritize the POI from closing bunch as of course engagement. But anyway, oh yeah, if in the middle of my speech I got choppy, please remind me, because it's kind of laggy. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Couple things that make opening debate ultimately goes to opening oppositions. Number one, something that OG forget is that the growth economy is a process. It's not something that can bring up instant benefit, like magically the environment will be greener or people will be happier. As long as we can prove to you that the process will be too much of a risk, we win. And this is why I think opening governments did a really, dismissive things towards my member analysis, because my member have explained towards how risky it is. Therefore, we say it's something that's super beneficial. By the way, there is some tension in opening government's case anyway, because all they want is a super massive benefit, but in the same time, their mechanism is to say that do it step by step and slowly. Two problems with that. One, what is the difference of that with status quo? I don't see. Right? It is important because the longer you take times in opening government, the more of our harms and our risks will fly at the end of the day. Therefore, ultimately, you do not need to buy opening government analysis at all. But second, we understand that social and ecological well-being are important, but let's be realistic. It is not the best way to go. And on top of that, we still do another thing. For example, I'm talking about company doing CSR to compensate their harms. I'm talking about the use of many other policy that will not sacrifice economy, because we say economy is as equal as economic and also ecological well-being. And assuming it's all not enough, we still can improve it. We're more than willing to do that. It's not worth it doing the degrading economy, right? But number three, right? What are the identity of CG then? Opening oppositions then. We say it is not worth to be done systematically. This is important because current state revenue are not comparable to the need of providing subsidy. It's not to make welfare in your society. Therefore, we're proud to oppose. The only defending in opening government is that if the demand is low, then the price will also be low, right? Two things. One, too optimistic, because low economic circle can also translate it into recession. Number two, we say the problem is only about price. It's way bigger, and I will extend it in my argumentation. Therefore, two things in my speech. Number one, I'll talk about why it's no need for you to do degrowth economy, trying to respond every single thing that has been stated by opening government. Number two, I will try to extend the problems towards why systematic problem really does exist and how big it is. Therefore, we're going to win over opening government, right? So all the things will be integrated. So let's directly proceed. Number one, why it's no need for you to do degrowth economy from the very first beginning. Three structural reasons here. Number one, need to be noted that capitalistic structures that it's so framed as a bad things in opening government starting to get progressive. It's likely under three reasons. Number one, pragmatism exists. Right now, a lot of companies have realized that if they exploit natural resources too much, then there will be nothing left for them to be able to gain more benefit towards the the natural sources, right? And the number two, they are also being realistic because they will not going to be able to survive in the future if they're not going to have more natural resources to be used on. Therefore, they also try to change their thing, they try to change their structures, and therefore they start to become progressive. And last but not least, competitor also exists, right? Another company will try to criticize them, they will compete one to another, and one of way to compete with your rivalry inside of capitalistic structure is to say that you have exclusivity in becoming a green company, for example. This is why green economy does exist. CSR exists. A lot of companies start to be progressive and try to compensate all of their harms towards society. Therefore, no problem. Comparatively, the growth economy is a form of pushing it too soon and too fast. Super risky and also super unreasonable. But second structural reason, in order for you to be able to run a project, for example, Green New Deal in the United States, or providing easy access of education towards your society, like free educations and such, you also need capital, right? This concept always being neglected by side opening government because what they want is only instant, instant benefit, people happy, but they never know that to make a policy and to make an agenda or any other project that will make your society happy, you also need money to do that, providing school infrastructure and such. Therefore, we don't see why it's something that will be achievable in open government. Last but not least, the only defense in open government is that people can change. They will try to change the standard of happiness, not based on money. Therefore, they will be happy without money. One, I think it's delusional. Without money, you simply poor and you cannot eat. But number two, the question for opening government and probably closing government is that At what cost for you trying to change the standard of society, becoming happy without money, and even if you don't have money, you'll be happy, right? I think the cost was just too much. You cannot provide subsidy, for example, for them. In the process, a lot of people suffering, probably dying because they cannot afford even to buy slight food, for example, because they are poor. Therefore, we say it's too risky and too costly for you to do so. It's no need for you to do the growth economy. In contrary, if you try to do it organically, like what we try to characterize in opening oppositions, and we still have money to support us, it will also run fast. Number one, it will run faster because you have economy to support you and providing all of that project. Number two, it will also be more sustainable because it's much more certain. You can do like check and balances, and you can, if you fail at worst case scenario, you still can cover it up with the money that you have, right? Because you not deliberately want to do degrowth of economy. But second contributions then, what are the further problems, right? The structural problems that will exist if apparently you have degrowth of economy. Two things. Number one, I will be talking about educations because need to be noted that one of the main standard of people happiness and people socially happy is also because when they are properly educated. And need to be noted to provide such thing as educations, good educations, you also need a lot of things. For example, technology. For example, good infrastructures, and trying to rebuild all of this school all around the state, for example. And what does it cost? Money, right? Therefore, I think it's much more worth it for you to keep running the economic cycle and trying to create improvement rather in your economy, but in the same time trying to make it even more better. But second, it's also talk about security of them. It's also super important, exactly because without the essence of security, people will not feel happy, right? Every day will feel as if it's like miserability. So we say security also require a tons of money, right? And this is why we say that in order for you to be able to reach all of that, you also need the existence of economical improvement rather, not economical degrowth, a degrowth of economy. So what we have proved to you? We have proved to you, number one, that systematical problem will exist, therefore the process is way too risky. Number two, we have proven to you that with money, you rather can make them happy and improve the social and also economic well-being. We are so proud, dear folks.
All right, I thank the Deputy Leader of Opposition for that speech. Next, to start the closing layer, I call upon the government member here. Yeah.
Hope I'm audible. Setting my timer. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Panels, note that under opening opposition, all of their benefit heavily rely on the fact that company actually have the incentive to want to change into becoming more progressive. I'm going to prove why later on this is not going to be effective. Now, under opening government, let's talk about opening government. They want to portray as if we can all suddenly go back 100 years in time and suddenly become farmer and hate capitalism and etc. We do agree that they win on sustainability. You can POI anytime, verbally. On opening government, they do win on the point of sustainability, but at the same time, they lose on social welfare, right? Because that is the one thing that they sacrifice. Now, under closing government, our stance is different because we agree that capitalism is important to a certain degree, but in order to also achieve a healthier form of capitalism, this means that we want to achieve things such as a much better practice where we don't abuse, for example, children to work in factories, or we at least give equal pay and not abuse third world countries for their cheap labor and etc. And we are going to do that through the degrowth of economy. And we're also going to force company through heavy taxation and etc. to be much more sustainable, right? Now, few rebuttal before jumping into my arguments. First, they mentioned about how there is no guarantee of stability and why it is very risky, right? How we define stability is, first of all, we have the same type of commodity, but still, which means that you get, for example, eggs, milk, rice, and etc. still at a sustainable price. Now, under our side of the house, commodity still do exist through two venues. First of all, you're still going to, for example, have local community, such as local gardens and etc. But at the same time, you're able to self-sustain on that. But at the same time, you're also going to rely on green technology-based companies maybe who have a much cleaner practice, who's also going to be able to give you that commodity. But at the same time, let's then talk about the investors. They're scared how investors are going to suddenly run away. Now, under closing government, we do agree that economy is still going to exist, like capitalism do exist to a certain degree. That's why we think that investor can simply shift to a better form of investment, such as choosing environmentally friendly practices. This real and such as like many skincare products, such as the Body Shop and etc., where they source sustainable materials and they pay for equal wage and etc. So they have a much more sustainable way, but at the same time, we can still link this back to economical degrowth because now this product may not be vastly available, but we think that in every state there can be development of these types of company where the expansion might not be that big, but the impact, the social impact is still the best. They also mentioned about CSR and reforestation. We think this is harmful because you heavily rely upon a company if that company do pollution first. So your incentive to do good is to do bad first, right? This is very harmful and not sustainable to begin with, because then your good impact only comes after a huge and massive harm. Now, okay, going to a few things, like our goal is simple. Under our side of the house, we want to make the world less capitalistic, but at the same time, a certain degree of capitalism is okay to have people to an easier access to things such as technology and etc., and much more sustainable. We can achieve this through community garden, for example, or people can raise their own chickens. This is the most basic level, right? But if you want to scale this up to a much grander level, you have things such as solar panel, electric cars, and etc. We do agree that the world is much more progressive right now. That's exactly why you have investors, you have more company, you have government funding who's also being able to opt into this. That's in the end of the day is going to maybe make everything less industrialized so that not everything is profit centered, but at the same time you have a much more cleaner practice, right? Now, going to my first argument, this argument is a huge contribution coming from CG because this is the prerequisite on opening government in order for their argument to run, which is why is reduction of economical growth is justified and why it is okay for you to suddenly want to stop, for example, like decrease the rate of economical growth, right? This is our unique contribution. Now, what is the impact? We think that the impact when you apply this degrowth is eventually you have much lesser industrialization, or it's at least going to slow down for a bit, right? In, for example, commodity. For example, instead of relying on distributors or huge supermarkets to be able to distribute your local commodity, for example, you're going to rely on local farm. You're going to rely on community-based gardens and etc. So we think that there are still a certain shift that's going to happen. And this is not going to take like months or years. Like we think people is very adaptable, especially if they need the certain commodity. There's supply, there's demand, right? So the moment when there is a huge demand of suddenly like people demand eggs, then there is going to be people who have the incentive to want to own chickens, for example. Now, we do agree that industrialization makes everything cheaper. That's the concept of capitalism, right? But at the same time, we think that commodities such as rice, eggs, growing vegetable, and etc. can still be sustainable at the most smaller level. But even if it's not, we still have that green technology that I'm going to discuss later on. So hence, we think that the price remains cheap. So you have the sustainability that opening bench is debating all about, right? Okay. Second of all, why is this urgent? We think that right now the world is at the verge of extreme inflation and etc. There's so many factors such as oil shortage from war, impact these at the end of the day impact the prices of commodity, and then the government keep on printing money, right? This is what any government would do, and then the loan keeps on increasing. What happens is that everything becomes much more expensive. Then we think this creates a harm for people like you and me, like for example the local community who simply want to buy commodity, but now they have to pay up to twice the price in order to get eggs, milk, and etc. Right? Now, going to my last argument about how we force company to shift into green technology. Now they say, opening opposition say that they're going to become much more progressive, simply by shifting energy and etc. But we think that companies very profit oriented, especially if you don't force them. At least under our side of the house, we have heavy taxation. This adds an additional layer of incentive for company to actually do better, right? Under their side of the house, you don't force company at all until there's a certain policy for them to want to do change. Now, what's the one thing wrong with company and status quo is that their form of capitalism right now is very abusive. You use child labor, you underpay, for example, minorities and etc. Under CG, we push for
growth, so that they have to use better methods, they have to use better materials. There's much more policy and check and balance in order for a company, if they want to start selling these types of product again, for as simple as sneakers, you now have to use much more, for example, better materials or sustainable materials, and use workers that are equally paid. And hence, under our side of the house, you have a much better world. Thank you.
All right, I thank the government member for that speech. Next, I call upon the opposition member to open CO's case.
Okay, thank you for the time. Your preference, you can give it through the chat. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. We're from the closing. Opposition would like to give some rebuttals to the closing. Government already stated about what they are thinking about the growth economy is actually bringing more good than harm. First of all, they actually stated the example of how many skincare, such as the body care, that kind of products that actually use the greener system to give more social impact is actually the best thing that could happen in the society itself. But actually, when we're looking at how the social impact is going on in the society, it's not that impactful for the people, because when we're looking at how the status quo, how the environment is actually keep going, how the environment is actually keep worsening with that social impact that's actually can be given by that system. And the second one, you also stated about how the capitalism by technology is okay, but actually by technology is actually could only be happen in our side. And the third one, you also say that instead of relying on supermarket, you can rely on the local products, and then people is actually adaptable. But actually, when we're looking at another perspective at how, when we're looking in the urban area, how people is actually already depending on the supermarket, on the other things, and they're actually not having the same access to rely on the local, and actually the people is not that adaptable with the things that is actually not familiar with them, and with that we think that how your mechanism is actually not can be done in this situation. And then we're looking how the opening government also stated their main goal to maintain the sustainability and happiness of people. When we're looking at how this sustainability and the happiness of people is actually can be done in our side. And then the second one, how the opening government also said that the lesser profit in people is okay because you are making your own food, but actually opening government cannot give the clear mechanism of how it can be happen, because when we're looking in the urban area, we having not enough land to growing and farming food, and then for that system. So it's actually your opinion is actually not inclusive for everyone. And then for the next one, how the opening government also state that the capitalism system needs to be stopped. But when we're looking at how the status quo is actually capitalism is already rooting in the states, how the states is actually depending on the capitalism system, and you're not giving the clear mechanism of how it can be done. And then the second one, you say that how the people having this different standard, that people having different standard, and actually people can be more better because they are having that different standard. But actually we are looking at how this when you're saying how the stigma is actually going on, it's not easy for them actually to get out of it. And then the third one, you're saying that they are poor because of the system, but how you cannot explain to us how the growing economy is actually guaranteed that they will get out from the situation, from the poor situation itself. The fourth one, you also say that you change how the world works because they are now need money in order to survive, but when looking at actually cannot get out from the capitalism, and it's not quite easy for the people to get out of it. And then when you also say that the standards that they had is actually worsening the situation. And we will say that it could not be happen in that side, and we would like to say that the opening debate actually cannot give the clear mechanism, and they cannot relate with actually what is going on in our status quo right now, what is actually important in that. And then why we would like to the states to do not do the development of the states and the world itself. First, we're looking at how the status quo, the world is actually a capitalistic, a lot of countries doing the trade, export and import to support the economy to grow. The production and consumption is actually growing the economy of the states, and it will bring more profit. And actually more harmful for the states to downscaling the production and consumption, because they already did it for years. The countries already did it in the system, and it's not easy to be changed with the other mechanism that actually cannot be done, because there are dependency between the countries in the trade itself. And then it status quo right now how the capitalism is overpowering the world. So even if we are using the other system that using fewer natural resources in the place of more self-sufficient initiative, it will not be effective to be done because the demand is still the same. And then it also can be one work on your side, because there is dependency between the countries. And then with not the growing the economy, we would like to use the profit that will intensify the resources without actually downscaling the production and consumption by using we will improve the resources without actually degrowth the economy. And then with that, we think that the states is actually cannot do the degrowth economy, and with that, we gladly oppose this motion.
All right, I think the opposition member for that speech. Next, I call upon the government whip.
I'm here. All right. Give me a second. I think I'm audible, right?
Yep, you're audible.
Make sure that the camera is tall enough so that you guys can see well. Okay. All right. Your eyes through unmute yourself. All right, unmute yourself if you guys are going to POI. My pronouns are he, him, or refer to me by my position of speaking role, which is government whip. Okay. There's a lot here to say. Okay. I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. In a world where pollution is still a major problem in the current status quo, we need to limit the consumptive nature of humans. Let's now engage to closing opposition here. There's not going to be any land for you to be able to farm, especially in urban areas. Very simple. Have a mini pot in your apart room. You can indeed farm little things as long as all of those things are food. Like, for example, farm a bit of tomatoes so then you can grow your own tomatoes. Then other harms coming from closing opposition is that, not everybody can learn how to farm. Yes, you can. There's the internet. It's simple. You just water the land and then the plant grow. It's not that complicated. Let's not make it any more complicated. What makes us here different here than OG? OG is playing in a world where they hate capitalism. This is something that's unrealistic in both sides of the house. OG's CG concedes that it's unlikely that capitalism is going away. So we are going to actually play in a scenario where capitalism still do exist, but then how do we have still better social and ecological well-being through the degrowth of economy? There's going to be one framing. There's going to be a couple of framing here. First, the burden of proof of both sides of the house. Under our government, we have to show you how the growth economy is not risky then, how it's going to be effective later on in the current status quo, and how the world is. For opposition, they have to give you you have to give us all of the harms of what the growth economy can happen, but also you have to actually engage and give us an alternative to what other things that you can do other than the growth economy so that you have a sustainable outcome in the end of the day. I think this is something that doesn't exist on both opening opposition and closing opposition. They did not give you a clear alternative, and they did not give you the likelihood of certain alternatives in my speech. Second framing here, why only states then can do this and not corporation? There's 3 structural reasons. First, influence. It only works if majority of people is doing farming in-house to actually make a difference and lessen the emission, right? Private company don't have the influence to later than have that scale of impact. Secondly, scale. exactly because many people or we're going to encourage like the whole nation to do this because we're the government. Exactly, that's how we can actually reduce the emission by a lot. When everyone, let's say, are going to start farming some sort of little things in their house and not needing and reduce their sort of consumption, there's going to be exactly the impact of scale, which is the emission drops down. And thirdly, obligation to create an independence for people to be able to sustain themselves, especially something that they need, which is food. Why CG then deserves to win? Let's compare ourselves here to OG and opening opposition. They were literally both on a deadlock between, one, opening government saying that capitalism is bad, and the other, capitalism is not all bad. It doesn't matter, panels, whether it's good or bad, it still exists under both sides of the house. The fact is, we need to be more sustainable for the environment, not for ourselves, not for enriching ourselves, but let me prove to you how it's even possible to still have some sort of beneficial to us. The simplest example that Dennis already explained to you. Okay, if you want to raise a chicken, go ahead and raise a chicken. He has given to you how it's beneficial economically, exactly because you don't need to buy chickens anymore, you don't need to buy eggs anymore because you're farming chickens in the end of the day. But secondly, there's other benefits, which is added happiness, right? When you exactly look at your chicken and the chicken actually is healthy, it grows until it's adult, laying so many eggs, you have that some sort of fulfillment, right? Same with farming in the end of the day, right? Because if you farm and all of your fruits are growing healthily and whatsoever, it gives you a sense of fulfillment, right? Now, engaging to OG here is also inconsistent with what they are trying to prove here. They say, harms of all of the capitalism that exists, that admits that we still need money. What are the stance here of OG? Let's say OG has been thrown under the bus. Easy here for OG. He's out of this debate. Now, let's kill two birds with one stone. Opening opposition and closing opposition, they're literally the same. No identity difference, even when I listen to cases coming from closing opposition, they're just adding more harms to government side of the house. Inherently, closing opposition out of this debate. Let's engage now to OO. They tell you that it is unnecessary to degrow economy. There is other alternative, yet no explanation to any clear alternative. What OO did is give you harm that exists for government, but not bring the necessary alternative to actually fulfill their burden of proof. OO did not fulfill their burden of proof, therefore they've also lost in this debate. Now, then again, engaging again to opening opposition. Regarding happiness, right? People is going to be unhappy when they're poor. This basically is a one-liner and no analysis whatsoever to how this becomes true. There is research that farmers are the happiest among people, even when they're poor. This literally means that inherently, when you grow yourself your mini garden or you raise yourself a chicken, it gives you that sense of fulfillment. It is possible for you to be happy, to reduce your consumptiveness. And when chicken is healthy or when your actual food is actually grow, you have that happiness underside government, right? Now, let's move to the clashes here. There's going to be one main clash, the actual sustainability impact. Which side of the house actually fulfill their burden and actually create and able to give to you judges the actual impact, which is, people is going to be much more environmentally sustainable under both sides of the house. This is exclusive to underside government already, because one, the whole opposition branch never give you alternatives to how people are going to be much more sustainable under their side of the house. So they've also already did not fulfill this. Dennis already explained to you what are done and how we're going to achieve this. We already give you examples of giving people away chicken, for example, right? Under opposition, no whatsoever push for being more sustainable. So inherently, if we're going to clash ourselves in the impact, there's not going to be inherent impact underside opposition, other than, we're going to be richer because we are going to focus on economic growth. We're basically giving a middle finger towards the environment. What are then the weighing here? You're going to be one, happy through being rich versus happy through raising a chicken, right? And I've already proven to you how later on it's going to be much more accessible to raise a chicken, right? Fine. We can literally give you the chicken. Let's say 2 per household. If under our side, because we government are going to give you chickens here. So here are the closing of my statement. Let's all be happy on raising little chickens for a sustainable future. CG.
All right, I think the government whip for that speech. To close the debate, I call upon the opposition whip here.
Okay, thank you. My favorite preference are through chat, and I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Throughout this debate, ladies and gentlemen, we see how the government side has failed to realize the status quo that is the urgency today. They even question us on how we are actually bringing impact when they're already harmed. But at least we are not at least argumenting things. We are not debating things that is unachievable. They didn't realize that the status quo right now actually dissolve their idea of achieving healthier capitalism or educating people through socialization. That couldn't happen because we are living in a system that opposes exactly that. Also, to clarify the rebuttal of CG that stated to the point that we're having of the impossibility of implementing personal farming is to actually answer the point of how could these people fulfill their basic needs, to fulfill their actual needs or day-to-day life. So yes, maybe they could learn it on the internet, maybe they could build a tiny little garden in their apartment, but that wouldn't be sufficient to live for their life sustainably when the system that they live in didn't favor that lifestyle. That is what we mean by that rebuttal. So moving on to the urgency of this debate right now, we need to acknowledge the condition of the status quo right now is that with capitalism and global interdependency has went further in a line where we cannot easily turn back in. Hence, restructuring society is unachievable and is not sustainable in the long run, and it's too way too idyllic in our current status quo right now. First, let me talk about why is it justified for state for country to compromise social and ecological well-being. First, the main reason is because it is comparatively more beneficial. Think about how profits are the main source of development. How even if their side has the possibility of having a larger volume of natural resources, have a larger volume of land, they still couldn't develop it anyway. Since the economic growth, since they couldn't reach an economic growth that there is anywhere near us. There is anywhere near us with all the compromise they made. And this is also to answer the OG limitation of regulating these corporations. What are the guarantee that this corporation will follow these regulations? Because it wouldn't benefit them at all. What would incentivize this corporation to follow their limitation? Because the thing that incentivizes these actions of corporations are profit and is only profit. And what are their mechanisms on making this on making their limitation to actually work? So, example, in a world of globalization that made various economic actors dependent on one another, for maximizing profit, business would lose interest in investing to countries that apply emission taxes, making their economy unfavorable in the eye of the world. Not only that corporation only, but to the global economy itself, thus trapping that states in a negative chain of economy. In a negative chain of economy where they is not interested, they're not favorable in the global world. Because not only that, the situation is worsened in the status quo right now of capitalism, where the system that has been prioritized for years, a system that is impossible to change without social revolution. It is better for us to adapt ourselves to that system and not forcing ourselves by restructuring our society. Because first, people will still be consumptive. We need to understand that their side, by the growing economy, they didn't change the characteristic of people that is consumerism. This concept only pushes customer to seek alternatives, right? Not to actually lessen their purchasing power. Meaning what they're creating is actually a mismatch in supply and demand in the market, thus creating a disruption in the economic system. Why a disruption? Because the restructuration in the economy won't flow as smoothly because of the system that I mentioned before, and thus creating unemployment, and then increases in prices, and then thus creating a more harmful situation for the market. And also remembering how hard this system, we need to again realize the high consumptive demand of this consumer. Instead of this high demand of a consumer would instead pushes pushes corporations to corrupt the concept itself. Yes, CEO?
Can you prove to me how the already established business that exists in current status quo is going to fail? Because your whole argument only relies upon that if and then the necessity for outside businesses to come into Indonesia, for example.
Okay, we disagree on that. Maybe I will prove it now with my examples that I will provide. Which I have stated before that the concept that they are proposing is not won't actually change the characteristic of these consumers, because they will still have a high consumptive demand. So instead, the corporations will still choose to benefit the capitalism itself and to corrupt the concept. Examples in where I'm sorry. Where the corporation in these countries that has the idea for this company that they would lose the competitive market, that they will lose with other corporations because they couldn't maximize the profit. They would not follow the regulations in that country. They would not benefit to that system. So instead, they would prioritize countries that doesn't have the taxes itself. Instead, they will find countries to invest that didn't have the system to exempt themselves from those taxes, and thus instead exploiting other countries that didn't apply the system, and proves how the failure of this system of concept is not sustainable, and it's not sustainable for both the economy and the environment instead. So that is how the system, the failure of the system doesn't just rely on how certain cases happen in each country, but also because the purchasing power of the consumer itself wouldn't change, and how the system, the capitalistic system would always thrive. So instead, the mechanism that we propose is as justification as to why the profit could also be sustainable without compromising the things that is contradicting the system, that is the ecological, that is through incentivizing this country through technological development, or maybe regulations to ensure profits profits could be gained goes to economical development. And we believe that this is achievable by the massive technological advancement of many countries in our status quo right now, thus making our system for actually achieve our goal, that is to create an economical global system that is sustainable and that is also benefited for the state itself. Thank you.
All right, I think the opposition wait for that speech. So yeah, that's the end of the grand final of NUDC Wilayah 4 2023. Once again for Udayana Negeri Surabaya, Surabaya and also Jember, congratulations for making it this far. Yeah, so for judges right now, let's go to Delete A1. Okay, I'll be waiting there. So yeah, once again for grand finalists, congratulations. Thank you for the debate.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Judge. Good debate, everyone. Wait, so do we leave the chamber?
No, this is the main hall. So the
So we
judges will
just
move. Yeah,
stay
to
here,
break
right?
out.
All right, okay, thanks. All right, thank you.
Sorry banget nih, gue ganti device, tolong invite gue ke breakout room dong. Thank you.
Izin tes audio. Oke. Izin tes audio.
Yes,
Oke,
you
oke,
are.
bagus, oke, bagus.
Halo, selamat malam.
Selamat malam.
Mana Ibu Ana ini?
Tuhan berikan kepada bangsa Indonesia. Anugerah lebih dari 53 juta generasi belia yang kini sedang duduk belajar di semua jenjang dan jalur pendidikan. Jika seluruh potensi bakat dan talentanya kita rawat, kita asuh, dan kita merdekakan untuk tumbuh, berkembang, dan menjadi inspirasi Indonesia Emas 2045. Menemu, kenali, dan merawat semua potensi keunggulan anak bangsa. Itu adalah menjadi tanggung jawab kita bersama. Mentransformasi potensi keunikan bakat alami, gifted, menjadi potensi aktual, talented. Kita lakukan melalui berbagai ajang talenta. Kita hadirkan ruang pembuktian diri bagi para belia untuk belajar menjadi generasi berpengalaman, berpengetahuan, dan kuat dalam penciptaan di bidang sains teknologi, seni dan budaya, vokasi, kewirausahaan, dan olahraga. Kita menolak untuk menyerah. Kondisi pandemi yang menghadirkan segala keterbatasan ruang dan sumber daya tidak menyurutkan kita semua untuk terus menghadirkan berbagai ruang pengalaman dan penciptaan itu. Kita fokus dalam menjaga berbagai ruang itu tetap hidup, penuh semangat berprestasi melalui upaya adaptasi masif. Memigrasi semua ajang talenta menjadi berbasis online dan hybrid sejak tahun 2020. Pada tahun 2022, kita menyelenggarakan total ajang talenta untuk tingkat nasional berjumlah 43. Pada babak penyisihan, 18 ajang dilakukan secara hybrid dan daring. Pada babak final, 1 ajang dilakukan secara hybrid, 28 ajang secara daring, dan 14 ajang secara luring. Sebanyak 197.068 peserta didik telah menjadi perwakilan satuan pendidikan untuk mengikuti ajang talenta yang diselenggarakan Puspresnas BPTI. Pada tahun ini, kita delegasikan 207 peserta didik pada 19 ajang talenta di 14 negara. Mereka mampu meraih 226 medali dan penghargaan internasional di bidang sains, teknologi, robotika, penelitian ilmiah, seni budaya, debat bahasa Inggris, keterampilan, dan olahraga. Yang sangat membanggakan, pada tahun ini juga kita menyaksikan bagaimana ruang-ruang penciptaan kreatif dan inovatif di segala bidang begitu tumbuh. Hasil karya talenta muda di bidang penelitian ilmiah, karya seni budaya, literasi, bisnis dan kewirausahaan di semua jenjang terangkum sebanyak 45.437 karya pada tingkat provinsi dan 5.387 karya pada tingkat nasional. Bahkan pada tahun ini telah diciptakan lebih dari 769 karya cipta lagu di jenjang SMA dan SMK. Kita tentu saja tidak hanya ingin berhenti sampai pada kompetisi. Manajemen Talenta Nasional mengamanatkan pengembangan ekosistem akuisisi dari kapitalisasi talenta, sekaligus pemberian penghargaan dan insentif yang lebih luas kepada peserta didik berprestasi. Kebijakan Merdeka Belajar episode 10 adalah komitmen kuat kita untuk memberikan fasilitas karir belajar bagi peserta didik yang diwujudkan dalam program Beasiswa Indonesia Maju atau BIM. Beasiswa Indonesia Maju menjamin karir belajar talenta berprestasi, menciptakan talenta-talenta kelas dunia untuk membangun sektor prioritas negara di tahun 2045. Kini BIM telah diberikan kepada lebih dari 600 peserta didik di jenjang S1 dan S2, baik di dalam maupun luar negeri. 171 diantaranya sedang menempuh studi S1 di perguruan tinggi utama dunia di Amerika Serikat, Kanada, Eropa, Singapura, dan Australia. Mereka berasal dari program persiapan S1 luar negeri Pusat Prestasi Nasional. dan penghargaan tidak hanya diberikan untuk para peserta didik, tetapi juga untuk satuan pendidikan yang berprestasi agar terciptanya pelembagaan dan pembudayaan prestasi di tingkat satuan pendidikan. Sejak tahun 2021 telah diberikan skema BOS kinerja kepada 207 sekolah dengan kriteria sekolah berprestasi. Pada tahun 2023, BOS prestasi telah dirancang untuk diberikan kepada sekitar 2.745 sekolah. Kita juga terus berupaya untuk menjadi bagian dari implementasi kebijakan manajemen talenta nasional di bidang sains, seni budaya, dan olahraga. Berbagai program pengembangan identifikasi, penyediaan database, dan pemetaan talenta melalui pengamanan sistem informasi manajemen talenta peserta didik kita terus dikembangkan secara sinergis sehingga pengelolaan talenta unggul Indonesia dapat dilakukan secara lebih efektif dan berkelanjutan. Tata kelola, kebijakan, dan program kita terus diupayakan melalui upaya pelembagaan yang lebih kuat dalam bentuk pengembangan standar penyelenggaraan ajang talenta. Pengembangan layanan melalui pembentukan Balai Pengembangan Talenta Indonesia atau BPTI. Penguatan dan perluasan dengan 78 mitra strategis. Pengelolaan komunikasi media yang diharapkan dapat lebih mendekatkan layanan kepada peserta didik dan masyarakat. Media sosial Puspresnas menjangkau keseluruhan wilayah provinsi di Indonesia. Peningkatan jumlah pengikut terus bertambah dengan audiens yang sesuai target sasaran meraih interaksi yang tinggi. Pusat Prestasi Nasional dan Balai Pengembangan Talenta Indonesia menjadi bagian yang sangat kuat dari semangat untuk bergerak mewujudkan Merdeka Belajar yang merawat dan mengasuh potensi talenta berprestasi untuk menjadi inspirasi keunggulan Ibu Pertiwi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat malam dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Yang terhormat, pimpinan perguruan tinggi wilayah Jawa Timur, Bali, dan Nusa Tenggara Barat, Kepala BPTI beserta jajarannya, yang terhormat tim Dewan Juri, tim tabulasi, tim Dewan Pembimbing, dan peserta NUDC tingkat wilayah 4, Jawa Timur, Bali, dan Nusa Tenggara Barat. Puji syukur kehadirat Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, karena atas berkah limpahan rahmat-Nya kita dapat berkumpul dalam acara penutupan National University Debating Championship NUDC tingkat wilayah 4, Jawa Timur, Bali, dan Nusa Tenggara Barat tahun 2023 dengan susunan acara sebagai berikut. Acara pertama, pembukaan. Acara kedua, nyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya. Acara ketiga, laporan Ketua Panitia dan sambutan dari Kepala Balai Pengembangan Talenta Indonesia. Acara keempat, sambutan sekaligus penutupan acara oleh Rektor Universitas Mataram. Acara kelima, pengumuman pemenang NUDC tahun 2023. Acara keenam adalah penutup. Untuk memulai acara kita pada malam hari ini, marilah kita sama-sama melafazkan basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Acara kedua, menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya. Acara selanjutnya adalah laporan Ketua Panitia dan sambutan dari Kepala Balai Pengembangan Talenta Indonesia yang dalam hal ini akan diwakili oleh Koordinator Ajang Talenta Bidang Seni, Literasi, Budaya, dan Olahraga kepada Bapak Kerry Darwindo. Kami silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yang kami hormati Rektor Universitas Mataram, atau yang mewakili, yang saya hormati Bapak maaf sebentar Pak, ini layarnya ketutup. Baik, saya ulangi Pak. Yang saya hormati Rektor Universitas Mataram atau yang mewakili, yang saya hormati Dr. Sujito, STMT, Wakil Rektor Bidang Kemahasiswaan dan Alumni, yang saya hormati pimpinan Adikti Wilayah 7 dan 8, yang saya hormati para Dewan Juri, para pembina pendamping, dan yang kami banggakan para peserta seleksi NDC wilayah 7 dan 8. Pertama-tama mari kita mengucapkan puji syukur alhamdulillah karena berkat rahmat dan hidayah Allah Subhanahu wa taala akhirnya seleksi NDC untuk wilayah NTB, Bali dan Jawa Timur akhirnya dapat diselesaikan. Sebelumnya kami mohon maaf Bapak Rektor karena pada saat yang bersamaan kami di Bogor sedang menyelesaikan finalisasi technical handbook untuk penyelenggaraan Pekan Olahraga Mahasiswa Tingkat Nasional yang ke-18. Insya Allah nanti akan dilaksanakan di Kalimantan. Ini kebetulan kegiatannya pas berbarengan, Bapak. Baik, Bapak yang kami hormati, ini kebetulan masih belum selesai, Pak. Mohon maaf, ini masih technical delegate dari para cabang olahraga tadi, kebetulan masih ada di ruangan. Baik, Pak Rektor yang kami hormati, seperti yang telah kami sampaikan pada saat pembukaan bahwa menang kalah itu bukan tujuan utama yang kita cari, tapi bagaimana teman-teman atau anak-anak kita, mahasiswa melakukan proses-proses terkait dengan persiapan mereka mengikuti seleksi wilayah Indonesia ini. Dan artinya bagi yang nanti akan lolos di tingkat nasional, selamat ya, tapi tentu saja kalian jangan berbangga dulu. Karena apa? Karena masih ada satu tahap lagi di tingkat nasional untuk membuktikan bahwa kalian memang the better, terbaik. Pun demikian bagi anak-anakku mahasiswa yang belum berhasil lolos di tingkat seleksi menuju nasional, jangan kecewa, ya, jangan putus asa, tetapi kalian harus tetap semangat. Karena apa? Karena masa depan kalian masih jauh, ya, masih jauh, masih banyak waktu untuk kalian itu berbuat yang terbaik. Ya. Masih banyak waktu kalian untuk menimba lagi, tetap berlatih ya, untuk menjadi yang terbaik. Ada pepatah mengatakan bahwa kegagalan adalah sukses yang tertunda, gitu ya. Jadi anak-anakku yang belum berhasil harus tetap semangat, tunjukkan bahwa kalian memang mahasiswa yang tangguh, ya. Tidak tidak putus asa manakala kalian mengalami kegagalan. pun demikian nanti kalian terapkan di semua bidang kehidupan, ya, bahwa kegagalan itu adalah bunga-bunga perjalanan hidup kalian. Gitu. Jadi sekali lagi bagi anak-anakku yang belum berhasil di dalam seleksi NUC ini tetap semangat. Dan akhirnya Bapak Rektor, kami mengucapkan apresiasi yang tinggi kepada Universitas Mataram yang dalam hal ini diwakili oleh Bapak Rektor yang sudah memfasilitasi Balai Pengembangan Talenta Indonesia di dalam melaksanakan kegiatan NUC seleksi di tahun 2023 ini. Kami mengucapkan terima kasih kepada semua pihak-pihak yang telah membantu sehingga terlaksananya seleksi ini dengan baik. Juga kami mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Dewan Hakim, ya, juri yang sudah membimbing ya anak-anak kita, debater-debater itu, dan juga dengan dedikasi yang tinggi tetap setia menemani anak-anak kita di dalam mengembangkan atau meraih prestasinya di bidang debat. Dan juga seluruh panitia dari Universitas Mataram yang sudah bahu-bahu tidak kenal waktu membantu kegiatan ini tetap berjalan dengan baik. Mungkin itu yang dapat kami sampaikan, Bapak Rektor. Sekali lagi kami mengucapkan terima kasih atas kerjasamanya, dan mungkin di lain waktu bila ada kesempatan atau event kami boleh bekerja sama lagi, Pak Rektor.
Alhamdulillah.
Karena BPTI masih banyak lomba-lomba, Bapak Rektor. Baik itu bidang sains, bidang seni budaya maupun olahraga. Terima kasih. Wabila taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih kami sampaikan kepada Bapak Keri Darwindo. Acara selanjutnya, sambutan sekaligus penutupan acara oleh Rektor Universitas Mataram selaku tuan rumah dalam rangka seleksi nasional University Debating Championship NUDC tingkat wilayah 4, Jawa Timur, Bali, dan Nusa Tenggara Barat tahun 2023 yang dalam hal ini akan diwakilkan oleh Bapak WR3 Universitas Mataram kepada Bapak Dr. Sujita STMT. Disilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat malam dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swanti Swastiastu. Yang saya hormati seluruh pimpinan perguruan tinggi di wilayah 4, yang saya hormati Bapak Rektor Universitas Mataram, serta para dewan juri, adik-adik tim tabulator, dan seluruh pimpinan dari Puspermas yang telah dengan sukarela menyerahkan acara kegiatan seleksi nasional NUDC ini kepada Universitas Mataram. Pertama-tama marilah kita panjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa taala, Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, dekat limpahan rahmat dan hidayahnya, sehingga kita semua pada saat ini dalam kondisi sehat walafiat, sehingga bisa melaksanakan tugas yang dibebankan kepada kita dalam rangka meningkatkan talenta anak-anak didik kita dengan baik. Bapak Ibu semuanya, para pimpinan wilayah perguruan tinggi tingkat wilayah 4, Jawa, Bali, NTB, Sebelumnya kami mohon maaf yang sebesar-besarnya. Dalam hal ini salam hangat dari Bapak Rektor, karena beliaunya dalam waktu yang sama ada kegiatan yang tidak boleh ditinggalkan. Ucapan terima kasih terutama kepada pihak Puspernas yang telah mempercayakan kegiatan ini kepada Universitas Mataram. Mudah-mudahan di tahun-tahun yang akan datang bisa mempercayakan kegiatan-kegiatan lain yang sesuai dengan potensi atau keadaan yang ada di Universitas Mataram. Misalnya ke depan, kalau dimungkinkan bisa kita mengadakan kontes hemat energi misalnya, kita bisa lebih lanjut karena kita mempunyai tempat sirkuit yang bagus yaitu di Mandalika, sekaligus kita memperkenalkan keindahan alam dari Provinsi Nusa Tenggara Barat. Dan sekaligus saya sangat setuju sekali himbauan dari Bapak Pimpinan Puspernas bahwa kegiatan pada hari ini bukan segala mencari kalah dan menang, yang penting adalah memupuk persahabatan antar seluruh anak bangsa dan sekaligus meningkatkan skill terutama dalam bidang debat bahasa Inggris. Dari itu kita saling mengisi, saling mengetahui kekurangan-kekurangan kita sehingga ke depannya kita lebih berbenah diri. Itu yang terpenting. Yang kedua, supaya kita lebih mengenal kondisi Pulau Lombok, mungkin yang terutama ada yang datang di sini, sekaligus mengenal kulinernya. Mudah-mudahan tidak bahasa sininya itu ya jerah lah. Itu bahasa sasaknya itu apa ya, kapok kalau bahasa Jawanya. Maaf, saya juga orang Jawa, jadi sasaknya itu sasak gak keruan. Jadi, tapi kalau ada orang sini ngomong apapun, saya insya Allah bisa mengerti bahasanya. Bapak Pimpinan Puspermas, saya sangat bangga sekali dan bisa terpilihnya menjadi tuan rumah ini. Sekali lagi, salam hangat dari Bapak Rektor, dan mohon maaf yang sebesar-besarnya apabila dalam pelaksanaan kegiatan seleksi nasional Nudc tingkat wilayah 4 ini banyak kekurangannya. Meskipun sebenarnya itu kekurangan itu tidak kami sengaja, hanya mungkin ya memang kondisi seperti itu, mungkin dari staf-staf kami yang ada di kemahasiswaan, atau mungkin kondisi dari fasilitas internet atau bagaimana, semuanya itu adalah memang kondisinya tidak sengaja. Demikianlah mungkin kata-kata sambutan dari saya, dan mudah-mudahan terutama saya berharap dari pihak Puspernas tidak jerah, ya, mau bekerja sama, mau menempatkan kegiatan yang berbau ajang talentanya di perguruan tinggi yang bisa dikatakan ya untuk wilayah Indonesia Timur ya maju, tapi ya seperti itu, supaya lebih mendorong kita ke arah lebih baik dan lebih maju. Demikianlah, dengan mengucap alhamdulillahirobbilalamin, acara seleksi nasional University Debating Competition tingkat wilayah 4 Jawa, Bali, dan Nusa Tenggara Barat saya nyatakan ditutup. Bila taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat malam. Om Santi 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 Om. Terima kasih.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih kami sampaikan kepada Bapak Dr. Sujita SDMT selaku WR3 Universitas Timur. Acara selanjutnya adalah pengumuman pemenang Seleksi Nasional University Debating Championship tingkat wilayah 4, Jatim, Bali, dan NTB tahun 2023. Kami silakan untuk tim panitia untuk mengambil alih.
Tes, apakah suara saya sudah terdengar?
Kak.
Ya. Baik, terima kasih banyak.
Sebelumnya saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih atas kesempatan yang telah diberikan pada malam hari ini. Saya izin Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman sekalian untuk menggunakan bahasa Inggris dalam membawakan pengumuman atau awarding ceremony pada malam hari ini. Before we proceed to the main awarding ceremony, representing the CAP, we would like to give our biggest gratitude for these following parties that without them, this event will not be able to run. First is Badan Pusat Pengembangan Talenta Indonesia, or BPTI, as the coordinator and organizer for the NUDC series, both regional and national, whom in this event is represented by Bapak Kerry Darwindo, ML. Second is Universitas Mataram and the parties involved as the host for this year NUDC Region 4 qualifier, whom in this event is represented by Wakil Rektor Bidang Kemahasiswaan and Alumni, Dr. Sujita. Third is representation from all LLDT involved in this competition, including LLDT 7 and 8, also party that involving those LLDT. Fourth is Board of Advisory, or Dewan Pembina, as the main advisor that listen to our concerns, give recommendation, and supervising this event to ensure the smoothness of this event. Also, to ensure that the event will always be intended for improving debating talents all around Indonesia. These individuals are Ibu Dora Angelina from Universitas Katolik Atmajaya, Bapak I Nyoman Rajin Aryana from Politeknik Negeri Bali, also Pak Rahmat Nur Cahyo from Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta. Fifth is STEP and Tech team. These individuals always work behind the scene. In fact, they are in the core that ensure the smoothness, fairness, even integrity of this tournament. Hence, CAP would like to give a huge appreciation for these individuals. First is Alia from Universitas Indonesia. Second is Andre from Universitas Bina Nusantara. Third is Lala from Universitas Indonesia. Fourth is Glady from Universitas Pajajaran. And lastly is T or Mutiara from Universitas Katolik Atmajaya. Sixth is Equity Officer that willing to involve, standing by for any kind of issues inside of every debating rounds in this event, to ensure inclusivity and comfortability for everyone participating in this debating competition. These individuals are Christopher Chia from Universitas Sanata Dharma and Angelia Giovanni from Universitas Katolik Atmajaya. 7 is invited educator that I cannot mention one by one, that willing to spend their weekends and weekdays to just and giving feedback for all debaters and even N1 educators. We would like to give a huge thanks for these invited educators that already give all their best to judge and ensure the fairness of this tournament as well as feedback for the debaters. 8 is the fellow CAP member that currently are present, represented by me. Also present in the Zoom are Devi from Universitas Airlangga, also Ica or Anissa Alistasia from Universitas Mataram. 2 individuals that unfortunately unable to join tonight awarding ceremony are Feliani from Universitas Tanjung Pura and Tengko Omar from Universitas Pajajaran. Last but not least is all participants, the debaters and N1 educators here. You guys have shown a great sportsmanship throughout this competition. And UDC might serve different value for each of you. While we hope that everyone can be able to get that fulfillment, but what we want to say is that this event is not the end of the journey. As part of the CAP, we wish everyone the best after the end of this closing ceremony, and we hope anything and everything that you learn throughout this event will give you a very important lesson and memories. With that all being said, we can directly proceed to the awarding ceremony. The awarding ceremony will be structured in 4 ways. First, we will announce the top 10 speakers from LLDT 8, then we will announce top 10 speakers from LLDT 7, then we will announce top 15 speakers from the overall NUDC 2023 Regional 4 qualifier, and lastly, we will announce the final results that already being held earlier this evening. So we can directly proceed to the first announcement, that is the top 10 speakers from LLDT 8. Next. Starting this list at a 10th position with the scores of 451 total speaks, we would like to congratulate Iputu Kresna Cahyadi Putra from Universitas Mahasaraswati Denpasar. In the 9th position, with the scores of 452 total speaks, we would like to congratulate Niluh Putu Laras Jayanti from Universitas Mahasaraswati Denpasar. In the 8th position, with also 452 total speaks, meaning that it being break by the deviation standard for the speakers, we would like to congratulate Wira Jagat from Universitas Bumigora. In the 7th position, with also 452 speaks, we would like to congratulate Putu Cynthia Karisma Dewi from Politeknik Negeri Bali. At the 6th position with 454 total speaks, we would like to congratulate Ilman from Universitas Nahdlatul Watan Mataram. In the 5th position with total speaks of 458, we would like to congratulate Anissa Fisilmi from Universitas Bumigora. In the 4th place with 460 total speaks, we would like to congratulate Farel Yano Tonapa from Universitas Udayana. In the 3rd place, with a total speaks of 463, we would like to congratulate Yadila Tri Tiarini from Universitas Mataram. At the 2nd position, with also 463 total speaks, we would like to congratulate Joshua Amadeo Enzo Rivaldo Caro from Universitas Udayana. And the individual that topping the LLDP 8 speakers standing with a total speaks of 467, we would like to congratulate Septiawan Azwandira from Universitas Mataram. Congratulations for all 10 speakers from LLDP 8 that made to the top 10 LLDP 8 best speakers, now giving it to the other CAP member to announce the top 10 LLDP 7 speakers.
Alright, hi everyone, Icha here. I'm going to announce the next top 10 best speakers from LLDP 7. So the 10 best speaker with total speaks of 460, congratulations to Ilin Trinia Santoso from Universitas Ciputra Surabaya. Next, the 9th LLDP 7 best speaker with 462 total speaks, congratulations to Abdul Hakim Aziz from Politeknik Elektronika Negeri Surabaya. 8th best speaker with 465 total speaks. Congratulations to Adara Michelle Haryanto from Universitas Ciputra Surabaya. 7th best speaker with 470 total speaks. Congratulations to Zarah Nabila Ramadhani from Universitas Brawijaya. 6th best speaker with 470 total speaks. Congrats to Caroline Permatasari Pramestita Gondokusumo from Institut Teknologi 10 November. The 5th best speaker with 471 total speaks. Congratulations to Muhammad Naufal Hilmi from Universitas Negeri Surabaya. The 4th best speaker with 472 total speaks. Congratulations to Amelia Putri Budiarko from Universitas Brawijaya. The 3rd best speaker with 473 total speaks. Congratulations to Russell Davis from Universitas Surabaya. The 2nd best speaker with 476 total speaks. Congrats to Dennis Mitchell from Universitas Surabaya. And the overall best speaker from LLDP 7 with 476 total speaks. Congratulations to Muhammad Axel Radityo Aji from Universitas Negeri Surabaya. All right, so for the next word, I'm going to pass it to Kak Devi to announce.
Okay, thanks, Icha. Okay, now for the top 15 regional phone speakers. With the 15 positions with the total speaker score as mentioned above, 460. Congratulations to Anissa Putri Sugiarto from Universitas Erlangga. And for the 14 region 4 best speaker with the 460 total speaker score, congratulations to Farel Yano Panopkapa from Universitas Wilayah. For the 13 region 4 best for region 4 best speaker with the 460 total speaker score. Congratulations to Eileen Triana Santoso from Universitas Surabaya. For the 12th region for the 4 best speaker with the total speaker score of 162. Congratulations to Abdul Hakim Aziz from Polytechnic Electronica Negeri Surabaya. On the 11th region for best speaker with a total speaker score of 163. Congratulations to Yadila Triyarini from Universitas Mataram. And for the 10th region for best speaker with the speaker score mentioned as well. Congratulations to Joshua Amadeo and Zuri Palvicaro from Universitas Hidayat. On the NIN region 4 best speaker with the speaker score mentioned as above on 465 total speaker score. Congratulations on Adara Michelle Harjanto from the Universitas Surabaya. And for the 8th region 4 best speaker with a total speaker score of 467. Congratulations to Septiawan and Azwan Brina from Universitas Mataram. On the 7th region 4 best speaker with a total speaker score of 470. Congratulations to Zara Nabila Ramadhani from Universitas Brawijaya. As the 6th region 4 best speaker with a total speaker score as well. Congratulations to Caroline Permatasari Ramesita Dondo Kusumo from the Institute Teknologi 10 November. And on the 5th region 4 best speaker with a speaker score as 471. Congratulations to Muhammad Naufal Hilmi from Universitas Negeri Surabaya. As the 4th region 4 best speaker with a total speaker score as 473. Congratulations to Amelia Putri Budiarto from Universitas Brawijaya. On the 3rd region 4 best speaker with a total speaker score of 473. Congratulations to Russell Davis from Universitas Surabaya. As the 2nd region for best speaker with a total speaker score of 176. Congratulations to Dennis Mitchell from Universitas Surabaya. And the last but not least, for the overall best speaker, the 1st region for best speaker with a total speaker score of 176. Congratulations to Muhammad Axel Radityo Aji from Universitas Negeri Surabaya. For the next one, give it to the chair for give it the chair for the grand final team.
Check. Hi everyone, am I audible?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So hi guys. So welcome to the announcement for the team award. So in the grand final round, it was a battle between Udayana as opening government, and then Negeri Surabaya as opening opposition, and then for the closing government we have Surabaya, and then for closing opposition we have Jember. So judging with me were Jihan, Jessica, Grace, Cantik, Gio, and also Felicia. So after the fruitful discussion for the third runner-up, we would like to congratulate closing opposition Jember from LLDP 7. Yeah, congratulations for closing opposition Universitas Jember. Okay, for Aidila Lungguh Arumdipta and also Johanna Valentine. Okay, next for the second runner-up with a split 4-3 vote. Yeah, with a dissenting chair, we would like to congratulate opening opposition Universitas Negeri Surabaya consisting of Muhammad Naufal Hilmi and also Muhammad Axel Radityo Aji. Congratulations for UNESA. Yay. Next, for the first runner-up with a 4-3 split, including a dissenting chair, congratulations to closing government Universitas Surabaya, consisting of Dennis Mitchell and also Russell Davis. That means the champion for NUDC Region 4 2023. Congratulations to Universitas Udayana, the opening government, Fareliano Tonapa, and Joshua Amadeo Enzo Ripaldo Carou. Congratulations for Udayana. Yay. Okay, so that marks the end of my announcement. Once again, representing all judges in the grand final, we are delighted to witness a great debate in the grand final. It was really, really tough between the 4 teams. So once again, congratulations, and I wish good luck for all Region 4 teams in the national. So representing the judges in the grand final, we are signing off. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tia, for the announcement for Team Awards. And that marks the end for all the announcement for NUDC Region 4 qualifier. We would like to congratulate every individual that able to snatch the awards for this year's regional qualifiers. And we hope for the best for everyone else out there after this event. And we hope you guys already learned a lot of things, especially from the judges, the motions, or even just having friends, just having the interaction with the fellow LLBT 7 and 8 individuals that hopefully able to be your friend as well outside of this competition. With that all being said, giving it back to MC for continuing the event.
Terima kasih yang disampaikan kepada tim panitia. Sebelum kita mengakhiri acara penutupan pada malam hari ini, kami mohon untuk semua partisipan menyalakan kameranya. Kami akan melaksanakan foto bersama. Mohon izin untuk hitungan ketiga. 1, 2, 3. Sekali lagi. Boleh gaya bebas. 1, 2, 3. Terima kasih untuk semuanya. Selamat kepada pemenang NUDC tingkat wilayah 4 Jatim, Bali, dan NTB tahun 2023. Setelah pengumuman ini, maka telah berlahirlah acara penutupan NUDC tahun 2023 wilayah 4 Jatim, Bali, dan NTB. Marilah kita sama-sama menutupnya dengan melafazkan Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat.
Telah Tuhan berikan kepada bangsa Indonesia anugerah lebih dari 53 juta generasi belia yang kini sedang duduk belajar di semua jenjang dan jalur pendidikan. Jika seluruh potensi bakat dan talentanya kita rawat, kita asuh, dan kita merdekakan untuk tumbuh, berkembang, dan menjadi inspirasi Indonesia Emas 2045. Menemukan, kenali, dan merawat semua potensi keunggulan anak bangsa, itu adalah menjadi tanggung jawab kita bersama. Mentransformasi potensi keunikan bakat alami, gifted, menjadi potensi aktual, talented. Kita lakukan melalui berbagai ajang talenta. Kita hadirkan ruang pembuktian diri bagi para belia untuk belajar menjadi generasi berpengalaman, berpengetahuan, dan kuat dalam penciptaan di bidang sains teknologi, seni dan budaya, vokasi, kewirausahaan, dan olahraga. Kita menolak untuk menyerah. Kondisi pandemi yang menghadirkan segala keterbatasan ruang dan sumber daya tidak menyurutkan kita semua untuk terus menghadirkan berbagai ruang pengalaman dan penciptaan itu. Kita fokus dalam menjaga berbagai ruang itu tetap hidup, penuh semangat berprestasi melalui upaya adaptasi masif. Memigrasi semua ajang talenta menjadi berbasis online dan hybrid sejak tahun 2020. Pada tahun 2022, kita menyelenggarakan total ajang talenta untuk tingkat nasional berjumlah 43. Pada babak penyisihan, 18 ajang dilakukan secara hybrid dan daring. Pada babak final, 1 ajang dilakukan secara hybrid, 28 ajang secara daring, dan 14 ajang secara luring. Sebanyak 197.068 peserta didik telah menjadi perwakilan satuan pendidikan untuk mengikuti ajang talenta yang diselenggarakan Puspresnas BPTI. Pada tahun ini, kita delegasikan 207 peserta didik pada 19 ajang talenta di 14 negara. Mereka mampu meraih 226 medali dan penghargaan internasional di bidang sains, teknologi, robotika, penelitian ilmiah, seni budaya, debat bahasa Inggris, keterampilan, dan olahraga. Yang sangat membanggakan, pada tahun ini juga kita menyaksikan bagaimana ruang-ruang penciptaan kreatif dan inovatif di segala bidang begitu tumbuh. Hasil karya talenta muda di bidang penelitian ilmiah, karya seni budaya, literasi, bisnis dan kewirausahaan di semua jenjang terangkum sebanyak 45.437 karya pada tingkat provinsi dan 5.387 karya pada tingkat nasional. Bahkan pada tahun ini telah diciptakan lebih dari 769 karya cipta lagu